Going to get started. Let's start on time because it's 6 o'clock and some of us want to have dinner and get a little R&R after a very long day. So good evening, everyone. This is Sheena Alleyne, your Caribbean college planner and student advisor at the Student Center. And we are back for another webinar on Wednesday. And remember, we're having our webinars leading up to Cut Fest, which kicks off this weekend in Barbados at the Lloyd Erskine Stanley First Center on Saturday, the 18th, and Sunday, the 19th of October. Fares are running from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Remember that between 1 and 2, we're going to have a close on the fair to have the reps have some lunch. Juanita, I hope you hear that. 1 to 2 is your lunch. No matter who's at your table, please tell them, hold a minute, go and get, you don't have to spend the whole hour and then come back if you want to. So make sure you get your lunch. And then we have my special session, College Prep 101 at 1 on Saturday. That session is only held one day. And then after Barbados, we head on to Jamaica. We are going to spend some time at Immaculate on the 21st in the morning, where we're meeting a whole bunch of school students. And then we have our session still in the evening open to the general public, including school students who want to come on over with their parents and have another chance to speak with schools from across the world. In Jamaica, we're going to have schools from the US, we're going to have schools from Canada, and of course, the Caribbean, because St. George's University will be there. So come on out, and our team at the Student Center will be there. I won't be, unfortunately, but you hope you guys have a good Cut Fest on in Jamaica. Now, this evening, this webinar is focused on a topic that everybody likes to hear about, scholarships. And I know that's a very popular question because, well, we understand that you have to pay for school, especially if you're going outside of your home in some cases, that you still might want a little money off. And how does that happen? How do we not have to break the bank to get this experience to attend these lovely schools? Well, to talk to us about that today, I have three institutions with three of my favorite persons that I like to talk and work with. We have Juanita from York University in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Then we have Colin Dow, my neighbor, just below us in Barbados, down in St. George's, Grenada, representing St. George's University School of Medicine. And of course, last and definitely not least, my pal Shabir, who is representing the infamous University of Guelph, based out in Guelph, Ontario. And funny enough, I I feel shame because I've been in Grenada many times and I still am yet to get my invitation to come and tour SGU. But I have, imagine I've gone all the way to Canada and toured Guelph, and I've toured York was one of my first school tours ever years ago. So what we can do about this? So they're going to be talking to you about scholarships. If you are joining us on Zoom, I want to say good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm looking forward to having questions from you. You can send us your questions using the Q&A option on your Zoom panel. You can send it through the chat. If you're peeping in on Facebook, good evening to you as well. If you have any queries, you can put it in the comment section and we'll definitely check on them. And you can see these schools, all three of these schools at Cut Fest in Barbados, and for some of them in Jamaica. Now, I'm going to do less talking now, and we're going to have York up first to tell us about York and scholarship opportunities, especially for students who might be considered international students. Juanita, thank you for joining me this evening. Over to you.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome, Sheena. So, as introduced, my name is Juanita Mwanga. I am one of the international recruitment officers at York University. If you are in Barbados, you will see me at CutFest. If you are watching us from Trinidad, you'll also see me at the EduCanada Fair there. So, a little bit about our university before we jump into our awesome different scholarships and ways that you can offset costs. We are known as the Changemaker University or the Hippie University in Toronto, and that's because we really do believe in instilling all forms of positive change in no matter what program you go into. In terms of where we're ranked within Canada, we're currently top 5 universities in Canada across 11 different subjects. Number 4 best university in Canada for comprehension based on McCain's, and also top 100 in the world in a few different areas of specialization, particularly education, English language, literature, and philosophy. We also have one of the most diverse psychology libraries, and then we also have one of the top rated business schools in Canada and the world. Now, in terms of our various different programs, we have 200 plus different programs, three different campuses here in Toronto and one in a rainforest in Costa Rica. We have 50,000 different students that come from over 175 different countries. So you will have people that look like you, that sound like you, and similar life experiences as you, but you also have people who don't, and we see that as an advantage. Now, as I said, we're located in Toronto. And what makes Toronto so diverse and unique is not only the fact that we are awesome for being a financial hub, a tech hub, but we're also incredibly safe. We're currently rated number two in North America for best student-friendly city to study in. And we have quite a lot of folks that are actually of Caribbean origin or descent. York, in particular, has a very large, robust Caribbean student population, be that first or second generation. So, folks who have parents that were born in the Caribbean or students who are international, some of them actually coming from the islands where you are watching from. As you can see here, we have our beautiful little map very close to downtown Toronto. We're on the subway line. We have a campus that's dedicated to students who are interested in second or third languages. And one of the languages that we teach is actually Jamaican Creole. But we offer 40 different languages that students can take full comprehensive classes in, and then they're able to do a study abroad experience in their third or fourth year. Now, we have quite a lot of different undergraduate programs, and these are our different faculties. As I said, we have 200 plus different programs that you can really stream into, and that's within our arts, media, performance and design, education, environmental and urban change, health, Lassonde School of Engineering, liberal arts and professional studies, Schulich School of Business, and our Faculty of Science. Now, we have 50 different undergraduate certificate programs that you're actually able to add to your undergraduate degree. So that includes, for instance, our Earth and Atmospheric program that has weather detection. We also have our sports therapy, where students actually can do an internship with the Toronto Raptors. We have a certificate that you could do in sign language if you're interested in translation or if you're interested in working government offices. And then we also guarantee co-op for our students. We actually have 5 to 1. So there's 5 different placements per one student, and employers come on our campus 2 times a year. Co-op students are typically making anywhere between 20 to 25, sometimes more, an hour and working 40 hours a week. So for students who are interested in offsetting costs, I always say scholarship is one and co-op or internship is another. And then we'll also talk about transfer credits in a moment. Now, for students who are interested in entrepreneurship, Jay Klein here is actually a student that was international and he created his own business. So we do have tech incubators and hubs. Jay is currently rated top 40 under 40, and he's a multimillionaire, and he actually still is close to our Kiel campus. His headquarters for Pure Gum, where it's an aspartame-free gum that he created on campus as a political science and communication student. He actually has his main headquarters just a few blocks away from our Kiel campus, so still very close to home. But in terms of co-op and internship opportunities, we have placements at Shopify, Uber, Google, Facebook, Tesla, KPMG, Deloitte, just to name a few. So lots of top-rated employers that you're able to do placement at. So really learning beyond the classroom. Now, in terms of cost to consider, these are a ballpark figure, but most of our programs are actually about $35,000. You also want to factor in textbooks and supplies, residence, meal plan, and health insurance. Keep in mind, every year tuition does go up. So you want to plan for that as well. But again, there are ways for you to offset those costs. And my favorite one is actually transfer credits. So for students who are studying CAPE Unit 2 subjects, you're actually able to deduct transfer credits. So that means you don't have to do those classes in your undergraduate degree. And for students who are able to deduct, they typically, you can see, especially for Caribbean students, are able to deduct anywhere between $15,000 to $32,000 from their overall cost of their undergraduate degree. All right, so transfer credits are given to students who have gotten 1, 2s, or 3s in each CAPE Unit 2 subject. Now, ways to apply. Applications are now live on OUAC. You want to ensure that you apply ASAP. The deadline to apply, this is last year's, I apologize, it says February 3rd, but you want to apply by first week of February for early consideration. Most of our programs do not require any supplemental applications. We're just looking at your last 2 years of study. So we will need your transcript for CSEC, CAPE Unit 1 results, and also predicted grades for CAPE Unit 2. This is what we'll actually use not only to base your admissions within our program, but also making sure that you have what it takes to be a star applicant for our automatic scholarships and our application-based scholarships. Now, in terms of our scholarships, we have a few different ones. We have our President's International Scholarship, which is valued at $180,000. We have our Tantaya Via Scholarship, which is valued at $120,000. And then we have our Global Leader of Tomorrow. These are our automatic streamlined scholarships. Applications for scholarships go live next month. In order for you to apply for scholarships, you first need to submit an application for York so you have an active, what we call student reference number. That'll allow for you to log into your scholarship portal, and then you're able to submit your application for these application-based scholarships. Okay? Every year, every region is represented in the students who win the President's International Scholarship. So you really are only competing with students in the Caribbean, not all international students around the world. There's usually one Caribbean student who wins the President's and one that wins the Tantandavia. Okay. Now we also have deadlines you want to consider for scholarship. Again, this is last year's because it hasn't gone live yet, but scholarships will launch again next month. They likely will have a deadline of first week of February. All right, so you're applying for scholarships at the same time that you are applying for your undergraduate program. So also something you want to consider. Now, in the application process, what we are looking for is number one, a personal statement. We also need you to provide us a list of a letter of recommendation, and also a financial profile. So we're not looking for any bank statements. Just let us know if you've been awarded any other scholarships, or if you have some savings. Again, the date here is last year's because that information hasn't been released yet, but I put them here as a reference point so you can plan for this ahead. Now, we do have our virtual open house. It's actually next month. So submit your application. You'll get more information on that. You can also visit our website. I always tell students you want to ensure that you have everything needed for your scholarship. Again, we will need your transcripts, so CSEC, CAPE Unit 1 results, predicted grades for CAPE Unit 2. You want to get all of that in by December or first week of January. Okay. You also want to submit your application, all right, before then. So if you are applying for scholarships and scholarships is important to you, you need to apply for scholarships before the deadline to apply for our programs. You need to have an active application in order to access the scholarship portal. April is when you would come to our awesome information session on study visa, and then May, hopefully accept your offer and apply for residence. So this is the timeline that you should consider when applying for York. So I think that's my time. I hope I didn't go over. I'll stop sharing. Was I good on time or did I go over? I'm sorry.
You're good. No, you're good. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Some
perfect.
questions for you afterwards. So thank you so much, Juanita. I know your is a popular school, and I know that person is always asked about scholarships. So thank you so much for that information. We're going to move right along to Colin, who is going to be talking to us about St. George's University and specifying the School of Medicine, which is also very popular for students who want to become a doctor, especially if they're looking to become a physician in the UK or the US. So Colin, over to you.
Thank you very much, Sheena, and greetings to everyone who's online. A warm welcome to St. George's University. And I always like to start off by showing where your home away from home can be. I do this disclaimer every time. It is not a resort. It is not sandals. It is not beaches. It is St. George's University, believe it or not. I know Sheena said that she has not been there. That's her fault. There's been an invitation that has been tabled. So she certainly can visit whenever she likes, all right? So that's us as an institution. We started off as a standalone medical school, and this actually started in 1977. We started undergraduate programs in 1996. So come next year, we'll be celebrating 30 years of offering undergraduate education at St. George's University. The School of Veterinary Medicine began in 1999, and we have had graduate programs, master's, doctoral programs ongoing since 1994. Just an overall look at the university. Our current enrollment is just over 9,000. We probably have the largest English-speaking medical school in the world with over 6,000 students enrolled within the School of Medicine, some 5,824 within the 4-year MD continuum. We do follow the North American model of medical education, which means that one needs to hold a bachelor's degree in order to enter the 4-year MD program. But I'll explain that in a little bit. Very same with the School of Veterinary Medicine, some 1,400 students overall within the School of Veterinary Medicine, 4-year continuum, 1,391. Just shy of 900 completing undergraduate studies at our university, and master's and doctoral programs, you will see 448. We have 104 different countries represented among our campus. Admittedly, the vast majority by country of birth are US citizens, but it is something that we take great pride in that you don't necessarily have to leave the Caribbean to get an international experience. The diversity of our population is something that we celebrate, and within a relatively small population, 9,000 students, 104 different countries being represented. If I'm to come home to the Caribbean, 1,441 Caribbean students. Of course, the majority are Grenadian, but as you can see from Bermuda, and we normally include, they're all out there on their own. So whenever we think Caribbean, we include Bermuda in the conversation. Belize, a little bit lonely. No students from Belize at this point, but from Bermuda in the north down to Guyana, you will see every territory represented. Among our graduate population, similarly. I just dating back, you would see, I think if we have students on from Barbados, there's 7 Bajan students on campus now. The graduate population, you see some over 3,880, well, 81 is the exact number, graduates, Caribbean graduates of St. George's University. We're known for medicine. So whenever you say SGU, you say St. George's University, everyone thinks medicine. So I will share a little bit about the School of Medicine. No other medical school in the world provides more new doctors into the US healthcare system than St. George's University. I said the world. I didn't say in the Caribbean. I didn't say outside of the US. That includes universities in the US. St. George's University is the largest source of practicing physician in the US healthcare system. The American Medical Association each year will carry out a survey of licensed physicians who are currently practicing. One of the questions that they ask as part of the licensing process is, where did you go to school? And the number one answer is St. George's University in Grenada. This means that we provide access to the US healthcare system. I know some of you online are thinking of practicing medicine in the US, in Canada, etc. The reality is less than 1% of medical school seats in the US, and probably closer to 0 in Canada, is made up of non-US citizens or permanent residents or Canadian citizens. In other words, if your aspiration is to practice medicine in the US, then you may very well find your route will be flying south, unless you live in Trinidad and Guyana, then it will be north, to Grenada, and then moving onwards to the US. The program is highlighted like this, and there are 4 different entry points. As I alluded to, if you hold a bachelor's degree with the requisite science courses or in the science discipline, you can enter into a 4-year medical program, as you see on screen, illustrated in orange. If one is coming to us from CSEC, then you can enter into a 7-year dual degree program. So you start off year 1 in teal. You do 3 years of the teal, and at the end of your first year in orange, in the 4 years of study, you will earn a Bachelor's of Medical Sciences. And then you move on for the additional 3 years to get a Doctor of Medicine. If you have done extremely well in CSEC or only did 1 year of KEEP or the wrong combination of subjects in KEEP, then you can enter into a 6-year medical program. 2 years in teal, 4 years in medicine. At the end of 4 years of study, likewise, Bachelor's of Medical Sciences. At the end of your 6 years, if you start in year 2, Doctor of Medicine. 2 years in CAPE, meaning grades 1 and 2, in both unit 1 and 2, of chemistry, biology, and one other, means your placement will be year 3 in teal. So you enter into a 5-year program. The flags at the bottom give you the options as to where you can study. So if you're entering into the 7-year program, Grenada is your option. If you're entering into a 6-year program, or the 5-year program, or the 4-year program, you can either begin in Grenada, or you can begin at our partner university, which is University of Northumbria, which is in Newcastle in England. The second year of your medical program will be in Grenada. That year 2 in Orange, everybody comes home to the campus I showed you before. Your final 2 years of clinical clerkships, you have options of going to one or more than one of our over 85 clinical affiliate hospitals distributed between the US and England. It means that as a St. George's University student, you'll be exposed to 3 different types of healthcare systems. Developing country Grenada, one that emphasizes the art of medicine, England, and the other that emphasizes the science of medicine, because medicine is both an art and a science, the US. Those are your options, and I will argue makes you a better physician because of that multidisciplinary approach to teaching. The School of Veterinary Medicine, one of the few vet schools in the world to be accredited by both the AVMA, accrediting vet schools in North America, and the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons, which accredits vet schools in the UK, of course, with reciprocity to the EU. The format of the program, identical as I would explain for medicine. CSEC, 7-year program, 1 unit of CAPE, 6-year program, both units of CAPE, 5-year program, bachelor's degree in Orange, 4-year program. There are no flags on there because until year 3 in Orange, you are going to be in Grenada, right? Your final year will be at an affiliate schools. We have over 30 affiliate schools. So for example, we're affiliated with 25 of the 31 vet schools in the US, 3 of the 5 vet schools in Canada. We also have affiliations in Scotland, Ireland, England, Australia, and the Netherlands. So where you do your final year of clinical placement will be depending on your interest, geographic interest, and your interest discipline. So if, for example, you say wildlife medicine, well, you probably be going off to Australia, right? If your interest is in bovine, then you probably be heading to Texas. Small animal medicine you can do anywhere, right? So those options are available to you as a student. Just quickly on the undergraduate programs, we have undergraduate degrees in business management, accounting, international business, tourism and hospitality management with a minor in finance within the business and management department. Humanities and social sciences department offer majors in sociology and psychology. Our biology, ecology, and conservation department has a general biology degree, as well as a degree in marine wildlife and conservation biology, which is accredited by the Royal Society in Biology. Our computer technology department offers IT, as well as a minor in mathematics. And of course, we have a nursing and allied health department for those interested in nursing to get that RN qualification. Now the monies. Outline the program. This is the cost of tuition as you would see it on the website. The undergraduate programs, inclusive pre-vet, remember that first 3 years in teal, $33,909, $34,000 US dollars per year. Vet school, the last 4 years in orange, $60,000 US per year. Medical program, last 4 years in orange, $94,095. I'm going to round up, $95,000 per year. The preclinical program, those first 3 years in teal, just about $43,000 US per year. This is for international students. I want your take home to be that when you see a price on a website of any of our institutions, that reflects the value of the education you'll be receiving. It does not necessarily translate into what your cost will be. So from an SU standpoint, we think in terms of like a US state school has in-state, out-of-state, international. Well, we have, certainly for the undergraduate programs, international, which you're seeing on screen. Our out-of-state is Caribbean, and then in-state, of course, will be Grenada. Different fees altogether. So the St. George's University is committed to helping you cover the costs of your education. Over 90% of our Caribbean students are awarded institutional scholarships with awards based on academic excellence as well as need. So to outline what I'm referring to, any undergraduate student at St. George's University, business, IT, biology, psychology, pre-vet, your cost, as I illustrated, was $34,000 US. But you get an automatic waiver of 65% as a resident Caribbean student. For pre-med, I said it was $43,385. 65% of that comes off automatically, bringing that cost down to just over $15,000 per year. Within the undergraduate programs within the School of Arts and Sciences, the business, the IT, psychology, and others, you also have options of full tuition scholarships. So the 65% comes off, but that can be 100% as well, depending on your academic credentials coming in. Each year, we give between 3 to 5 full tuition scholarships to Caribbean students doing undergraduate studies at St. George's University. Now, let's address the big monies. Big monies mean when you are going into that 4-year medical program when it's 94,000, or that 4-year veterinary program when it's 60,000. What we will ask you to do is to complete what is referred to as a confidential financial statement. The Scholarship Review Committee will then take a look at it. On the CFS confidential financial statement, you will share your family's assets. You will share your family's liabilities, the loans, etc. You will share that you have other brothers and sisters who are going to school. So the Scholarship Committee can get a very good sense as to what your affordability is and be able to make a determination of scholarship that is customized for you, the student. So unlike undergraduate study, where there's an automatic waiver of 65%, when you get promoted into the 4-year medical program or the 4-year DVM program, we look at your individual circumstances and make awards catered towards the financial positions of your family. So that assessment will have different applications. What we can do also, so the CFS primarily deals with number 2, the International Peace Bursary, which is a reduction, needs-based, focus on citizens from developing countries, Caribbean countries. We also have another category of scholarships, academic awards, the SU Medical Scholar for the 4-year program. And that is dependent on your academic credentials in coming in to the medical program. This is the physician program, meaning the human medicine. As a Caribbean student coming into the veterinary program, 4 years, you get an automatic 50% waiver. We also take a look as to your consciousness and work on humanitarian efforts, the difference maker. So this is a partial scholarship for demonstrated compassion and commitment to humanitarian causes. So your volunteerism becomes an important factor here. We also have a limited number of institutional loans. That is, we lend you money, you pay us your tuition, and then you repay that loan upon graduation. So academic awards, the International Peace Bursary, the difference maker, and institutional loans combine to make the education at St. George's University, medicine and veterinary medicine, accessible. Before I depart, let me just table this. There are a number of external scholarships, because sometimes when we think scholarships, certainly within the Caribbean context, we think 100%. Well, there are very few 100% scholarships, right? The fact is tertiary education is an investment. So it will be partial scholarships along with loans that will fund your tertiary education, especially if you're thinking of professional school like St. George's University. So some things to explore is, do you have volunteer and or leadership experience? There's some scholarships that can address that. From external sources, have you looked for scholarships based on dual citizenships? Because there are awards that are geared towards your ethnicity. So did you consider scholarships based on that? Are you multilingual? Some communities, some corporations, based on their corporate social responsibility, have scholarship funding as well, partial scholarship funding for students who are pursuing tertiary education. So my challenge to you is, yes, look at the institutions, but also look externally at various organizations, global organizations, not just Caribbean, that will have awards based on citizenship, based on ethnicity, based on interests and accomplishments, based on language and others. So explore all of these, and the combination of these will be able to give you access to fulfill your dreams of becoming that practicing professional in whatever discipline you decide. My name is Colin Dow. My contact information is on here. You can take a screenshot, but then we'll be certainly moving into questions thereafter. Sheena, I know I always go over time. I hope I keep within bounds this time.
You're fine. You've been very fine, all of you so far. It's a lot of information to unpack. And I know you have the opportunity if you are going to be in Barbados and if you are going to be in Jamaica to speak to SGU directly. Remember, Cut Fest kicks off in Barbados this Saturday, October 18th, and Sunday, October 19th at the Lloyd Erskine Sandifer Center, running from 11 to 5 p.m. And you can definitely speak to York, and you can also speak to St. George's University. And Jamaica SGU will also be there at Cut Fest at the Pegasus. That session runs from 5 to 8 p.m. For those of you who are school-based, there's going to be our contingent will also be attending, have a presence at the Immaculate College Fair, so you can also meet with SGU there. Now we're going back to Canada, and Shabir is going to talk to you about what Guelph has to offer. I know Guelph is also another popular Canadian university. Guelph will also be at Cut Fest in Barbados, as well as in Jamaica. And for those of you who may be joining us from Guyana or Antigua, please note that we are going to have some special sessions coming up later in the month. In October in Guyana, and in November we will be in Antigua, so you will have another chance then. So, Shabir, over to you. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Sheena. I hope you can all hear. And I know it's the evening for you all, and I want to keep it very simple and beautiful, as my colleagues did. It's really important for you to understand education is important. That's what moves you into the next level of your career or your life. University of Guelph, and it's in the city of Guelph, which is like 45 minutes to 55 minutes. We always give a range based on the traffic in Toronto. From the Pearson Airport, which is the Toronto airport, and University of Guelph, which stays in the city of Guelph, where it's known as one of the best place to live with this good population number, lower unemployment rate. That means lower, challenges for the students to, work in those environments. It's ranked as one of the Canada's top safest cities all around. And this is the campus life. I just wanted to share with you, like you have a city-like campus, then you also have a beautiful arboretum, you have a athletic center, you have an alumni center to work with. So it's a huge main campus where you have 30,000 students, over 300 student clubs to work with. And you have buses which takes you to the downtown, the buses which will take you to Niagara Falls. So it's a wonderful place where you can learn, where you can have fun, where you can improve your physical health. And this is our main campus, which talks about our university center, the engineering buildings. This is where most of our students stay, live, study, eat, and have fun and build their careers for life. And we also have another campus. We have totally three campuses, which is Guelph Humber, which is in downtown Toronto, which is very closer to the airport as well. And then we also have a Richtown campus, which is like 2 hours from the main campus, which is very closer to Canada-US border, closer towards Michigan, where we also have 2-year careers as well, where veterinary technology or other agriculture programs as well. So as you know, why study in Guelph? And that's one of the questions I always ask when a student comes back to me and say, why should I study in Guelph? We all talk about that. It's vibrant and diversity. We talk about, with 27,000 undergraduate students and over 30,000 students overall, and over 7 to 10% of international students from 140 countries. What makes us Guelph unique for students is like $180 million in research. What does it mean? Is most of you not going to have just an exposure learning. You're going to have an experiential learning. That's That's really important in the current environment. As my colleague also said from York University, the experiential learning is very key in Canadian context. That's really important. The students just don't have an exposure. They learn with the employers. They get opportunities to work and build their careers, and over $21 million in scholarship and bursary. That's what the presentation is all about today. We are talking about how do I get support my education? What do I need to study? Where do I need to study? And how can I support? One main thing my Colin talked about, it's a really wonderful example. The scholarship and bursaries is not going to, replace the burden of your tuition fee. It's going to reduce your burden. It's not going to totally take off your burden. So it's wonderful to see all the institutions we do offer experiential learning and also scholarship and bursaries. As I said, there are not many full rides, which we call it. We normally have more scholarship to offer, and there are other scholarship students which always have to look forward for. As we have totally 16 degree programs with 75 plus majors and 60 plus minors. You can do dual majors, you can do dual major and a minor. So it's a huge opportunity for you in University of Guelph to say, hey, I want to take a bachelor's of commerce with a marketing management, with a major in psychology or a minor in psychology. So this kind of combination normally students picks up, or taking music and engineering to make sure that you have learning engineering as your career, and then having music as your passion as well. And then, as University of Guelph is known as top 500 reputed institution in the world, and top 5 comprehensive university in Canada, 5 to 6, and number 1 in student satisfaction. That's what we look forward. What do you mean by satisfaction? A quality of education, a great place to have experiential learning, an opportunity to build, career network, place to live. We offer guaranteed housing for all the international students for your 4 or 5 years if you're choosing co-op or co-opportunity, like co-op educations for you. And 92% of our students are employed within the first 6 months of graduation. This is because they build those relationships while they do the co-op education. And as we talk about programs and things, and we immediately talk about scholarship and funding, we need to talk about co-op education. The co-op education in Canada, specifically in University of Guelph or other universities, it is 3 to 5 paid work terms. Each term is between 4 months. That means between 4 to 12 months, you're going to work with employers. Those are all paid. And University of Guelph is known in the top 4 largest co-op university in Ontario. Over 5,000 students are currently in co-op. That's an example. And a student earns between $2,600 per month to a $4,358 per month. It talks about the major, the employees they're working with. So that means an opportunity for all of you to earn between $30,000 up to $80,000. So that itself covers your education, your experiential learning, building relationship, Canadian experience, also supporting your education by yourself. So this is some of the examples of where our students would work. And you can see in the corner, it says University of Guelph. It's just not a logo. We are also employers. Currently I have a work study student who is working with me. I have a co-op student who used to work with me. Our computer department have a co-op student who come and learn not only as an help desk, also looking to help us in analytics. So that means these are the employers where you have those experiential co-op opportunities. And this is how a co-op opportunity will always look like. This is just an example of one of the degree, but other degrees will have a different, semester wise or your program wise. So you work, you study, you have your foundational courses done, then you do a co-op 101, then again go back to your class, build up your academic strengths, and then find out employers. Then you start working with those employers, and you're earning as well as you're learning. That's really important about the co-op opportunities. And this is an example from our department showing what each degree out of those 16 degrees which offers co-op, to show that what will be a minimum monthly rate a student would earn to a maximum monthly salary they could earn, because you're a full-time employee in an employer, but still you're a student, learning those skills. And we talked about scholarship and funding. University of Guelph, we offer entry-level scholarship. That means you don't have to write an essay. You don't have to write a recommendation letter based on your credits. Similar to most of our Ontario institutions, and my colleague has mentioned, we need CAPE 1 and CAPE 2 units. That's really important for admission requirement for us. CSEC, we don't take it as admission requirement. We need CAPE 1 and CAPE 2. This is requirement for us to ensure that you fulfill similar criteria to all the students who come from different parts of the world. So based on that, we convert those scores into a percentage and making sure that we are comparing everybody in equally. And so each of the student could be eligible up to a $21,000 scholarship. And this is an entry level scholarship. That means you don't have to write based on your grades that you would be eligible for. And then you're looking into a president scholarship, which is the higher level scholarship. And the deadline is January 2026. Then you also have an international transfer scholarship. That means any student who comes as a transfer student, it's a huge opportunity for the student to gain $10,000 as a transfer scholarship. And 94% of our students in 2024, fall 2024, earn more than $9,000. That's a great opportunity for the students to say, okay, my scholarship is funded by me because of the grades I got it in my high school. And as I said, each program is based on, differently because of the labs, the opportunities, the kind of facilities they use. So minimum of $37,000 to up to 75 to $81,000 is tuition fee. You may be asking, what is $81,000? It could be a veterinary medicine. And what is this $37,000? It is a bachelor's of arts in psychology. And it's an example of, and when you're looking into overall, based on where do you live, are you going to have an ensuite? That could different costs versus if you're sharing with four people in an apartment where you'll have a beautiful apartment with a living room and a kitchen to share. So the prices would go up and down based on what you prefer, a 5 day meal or a 7 day meal. So the meal plan is also changes. Your personal expenses. Do you want to spend $200 every month, or do you want to spend $2,000 in every month? So it changes on how do you spend changes. As we said, guaranteed housing, as we know, when students are making University of Guelph their home, we want to make sure that you don't struggle, you don't have any challenges. So we offer all the international students, also Canadian students who are international, Canadian citizens who are international. The first year is guaranteed. For international students, the 4 years or the 5 years with a co-op as guaranteed. You have to make ensuring that you pay the housing deposit by the deadline. As we talked about the student satisfaction, University of Guelph is known as number one campus food of Canada. We are known as a Canadian school which has high level of campus food and best campus food in the whole of Canada. And then student well-being is top. So we have health and wellness, mental well-being, counseling services, student support networks. So all the opportunities for the students to grow and nurture themselves with health and wellness. All the services. We have English language supports. We have campus safety officers, housing services, accessibility service for students to come and thrive in University of Guelph. And we also have for international student services, we have an in-house global pre-arrival support. What does it mean? They will help you from after the admission. They'll help you to apply for your visa, to come here, to settle down, to ensure that you are maintaining everything which is required for an international student. So community, as I said, 11 student government bodies, 300 plus clubs. That means you incorporate yourself into a new community of University of Guelph with an opportunity for you to grow here. As we talked about, connect with me. I'm going to be there in Barbados and other places in Caribbean as well. It's a great opportunity. The three takeaway I would always take out is like, look, making sure that you fulfill the timelines. Don't miss any timelines. The faster you apply, the better to get an opportunity. Make sure that you take as an international student the co-op opportunity, experiential learning, as well as it supports your education. Third, any scholarship, entry level scholarship, it's based on your high school. That's really important. From your second, third, and fourth year, don't miss out to apply for your departmental scholarship or your faculty scholarship. That's really important. Most of the students, they forget, they come back and say, I need a scholarship. So we want to ensure that each department have lots of scholarship. If you maintain your percentage, if you maintain your GPA, there's a high chances that you get a really good scholarship and bursaries while you study, as well as an experiential learning. Thank you, Sheena. I hope I kept the time. So opening up for the questions.
Thank you so much, Shabir, for walking us through. For those on Zoom, if you have any questions, you can send them through the Q&A or using the chat option. The reps are here to answer any questions you may have, but I have a couple to start off. First question, this goes out to all of you. I know that you mentioned multiple different types of scholarships, but I know sometimes there may be caveats about stacking scholarships. So are there any restrictions in terms of how many scholarships you can successfully obtain? Are you able to stack some? Let us know. Who wants to go first?
I can start.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So we do have merit-based scholarships. And then, of course, we have our larger application-based scholarships. Entrance scholarships, you're only able to get one, not both. Okay. Now, for scholarships when you're a current student, those are different. Those are stackable. So for students who have accepted their offer, they're enrolled in classes, they're currently completing first year classes, but they might be in second semester, you're more than welcome to apply to our faculty specific scholarships or department or university-wide scholarships that are open to current students, and you won't be removing, let's say, the merit-based scholarship that's valued at 37,500 or the president's that's valued at 180,000. Like you wouldn't be able to lose that. You won't lose it. You would just be able to stack it, but not entrance scholarships.
For undergraduate study at SU, there isn't stacking of scholarships. You, as a Caribbean student, you get the automatic 65% off. Your next tier is 100% off if you are one of the Caribbean visionary scholars. In medical school, vet school, you can stack up to a maximum of 50% of the tuition cost. So you can have the difference maker, an academic award, and an international peace bursary, but the most we can take off would be 50% of the full tuition.
That's a great question as well. Good question. I was very delighted about this question, Sheena, and I really like this. A stackable scholarship. Yes, we have an entry level scholarship, which you could stack. There are some other scholarship we do offer. We do offer departmental scholarship, which could be stackable. Then with the current, new policy in Ontario as well as in Canada, that we also have a provincial attestation letter which we have to provide to the students. We also have a scholarship for that. Then we also have a global scholarship for students. They need to be admissible. They need to have maintain a specific percentage. So you can start those entry level scholarship as well. However, you cannot stack an entry level scholarship with a president's scholarship, which is higher. So as my colleague said, few scholarships are stackable. Few scholarships are not stackable. There are an opportunity for the students to say, okay, this is stackable. But every time they look into some of the entry level scholarship, most of the university would add you. This is the dean, engineering department. Hypothetical example, engineering department scholarship of $2,000. This is your welcome scholarship of $2,000. And then is because of you based on your percentage, you got a $9,500 scholarship. If they have 95%, I'm giving an example. So a student could stack all those threes, then they get 35,500 scholarship for the first year. But the next year onwards, they need to make sure that they maintain the percentage and they get an entry level scholarship, which is renewable for them. They can also apply for a dean scholarship or a faculty scholarship, which are stackable. So it changes. So based on the scholarship, there are opportunities to be stackable, but few scholarships are not stackable. They are higher level scholarship. Example would be you're getting an $80,000 scholarship, hypothetical number again. They cannot again say, I want the $2,000 scholarship. They cannot stack those things. So those are how the student has to take.
Okay, so far in the case of the Canadian universities, your entrance, first entry coming in, stacking is not necessarily possible, really and truly. So you're going to go in based on merit primarily. However, as you progress into the program and depending on the department you are in, there are opportunities for you to potentially stack, but you have to be mindful of keeping up your academics to a certain standard and level. Okay, so that's clear. Now, when it comes to SGU, now in the case of medicine, particularly in your medicine options, being a CARICOM national, you are subject to the 65% off for a certain stage of the program. So that before the years 2 and 3 and 4 of the MD program, up to a certain point, you can get your discount. And then afterwards, there are other opportunities for you to further reduce the cost. Now, I'm going to put a pin here. I have a question in Q&A, but I want to ask another question. This is specific to York. Juanita, in your application for some of the bigger scholarships that you mentioned, there was a point you made about persons listing how much funds they have. Now, a question that we commonly get for those students who are going to apply to you with the intention of also applying to those particular scholarships, is there a recommended range? That's a common question because some students don't know what to put. And so you don't want to lie, but you don't want to look like if you're real poor, like for lack of a better term, you don't want to make it look like you have no money, but you don't want to make it look like you have too much. So what is there a recommended range that you suggest?
That's a really good question, and I get this all the time too. As somebody who has sat on the scholarship committee for 5 years, I will say I've had students that have won the President's International, so that's the $180,000 scholarship, and put zero. And I've also had students who won who put 75,000 Canadian that they had available to them. So it's really based on a holistic approach on the other components. We just want to see if there is other scholarships that you are getting access to. And if you are, no problem. There's no shame in your game, as the saying goes. But for students who aren't, it also allows for us to go, maybe they're not going to be a finalist for this, but maybe there's cushioning that we could offer them in another scholarship pool. Let's see if we can get funding in another way, because this is a star applicant. So we're not looking at that financial profile as a deferring factor or a deciding factor. It's just a component within it to not necessarily base your candidacy, but get an idea of who you are.
Okay, so that's good to know. So I guess it's really up to them, but they either put zero, but make sure that in the other elements is clear, or they put truthfully what they have, whether it's 10, 25, 30, whatever the case is, but list it, or if they're online for another potential scholarship, let the decision be up to you technically. That's what you're saying essentially.
Exactly. And I think the key thing here is being truthful. So there's no reason for you to lie.
I mean, you could spot it from a mile away when you see some of
And
the
that,
applications.
Sheena, that's exactly where I was coming. Do not lie. We
Yeah.
have vast experiences in this. Do not lie because you don't want to be caught and then you put yourself in an uncomfortable position. Now, in addition to this, some people believe if I want a scholarship, I would underplay my hand. But
Hmm.
because it's not a full tuition scholarship, if you peg it so low that even if we give you the maximum, you won't be able to afford to come, then we won't give you anything. We will channel those funds to someone who we can help with a scholarship award. So I have seen families lowballing in order to increase their scholarship. And what they actually did was deal themselves out of getting anything. So be truthful, trust the process, especially with need-based awards, and you will be assisted.
A good point. Thank you for that contribution, Colin. Don't lie, be honest. So this is where financial planning comes in. And I want to put out there that we, as part of the college prep seminar, actually in-person seminar that I will be running on Saturday at 1 p.m., we have RBC Royal Bank that will be there to talk about financial planning on the whole, like how to really I know it's a touchy and people, people are a little funny about the money. So, you don't want to put all your business out there, but at least come and get some holistic information, especially if you are going to look for some sort of financing on how to prepare yourself for the process. Shabir.
Yeah, I would echo what my colleagues, both of them said. Be honest and transparent. You're not just coming for first year. You're going to come here for 4, 5, 7 years. Your first year is not going to fulfill. You come here, it's not just a vacation. I know it's going to make your career. So you just say, I'm going to lowball and get the first year $40,000 as an example. What will you do for the next year, the next year after that, the year after that? You need to understand education is a long-term investment. It's investment for not just to earn money or also for your career. It's a life-changing moment for you. You're making a decision to say, I'm going to study in these top three institutions to here today, and I'm going to make a career for life. That's what you're investing on. It's not like that I'm going to lowball, I'm going to get $70,000 this year, and what happens next year? So it's really important for you to understand honesty and transparency. And also specifically, if you're Caribbean institutions, I know I can understand the immigration laws are different. And I'm not an immigration consultant, as my colleague would also. When you're coming into Canada, you need to make sure that you have to show the funding. That's really important. And the year after that, make sure that you have fully funded. The government is not going to support you because you're an international student economically. When we talk about that's why they say international students have to come and pay. And it's really important for you and your parents to understand, hey, it's an investment for a long time. It's not just 1 year or a 6 months investment.
Thanks for that. And it's true, you have to do the long game planning. And this is where it boils down to your options. And that's why at CutFest you have different options, different types of qualifications. If you need to stack even the qualifications that you do, maybe you have 2 years of money. What can 2 years of money get? And maybe coming through this whole process, you realize maybe I better start from home and then position myself to then launch myself out. So you might do your undergrad at home and then move out for grad studies afterwards, or you may start 1 year or 2 years at home and then transfer out. There are more than one way. For some of you who are bent on coming, you might say, well, I'll just do a 2 year program. And there's still a way for you to still get what you want. So this is where you now decide what money I have, what meets. You might have your dream, you might have an option that could fit with where you are, and then a safety. That's how you will start to plan. Now we have a question in the Q&A. I think this is for SGU. They want to know what is the cost of studying medicine for SGU 4 year program for a Caribbean student?
All right, as I indicated, and thanks for that question. As shown on the PowerPoint, we average about 94,000 US dollars per year for the 4 year program. You would go at the start of it, complete what is referred to as a confidential financial statement. That's where you would declare your various sources of income, savings, annuities, family business, etc. So you'll declare what the assets are. Then you would declare the liabilities. This mortgage that's still on the house, mortgage that's still on the car. I have 3 other siblings that are at university, etc. And then you will declare how much monies you actually have for your education, because your parents might be earning $1 million, but they're only going to give you 10,000. So that 10,000 gets put down as well. So in completing this confidential financial statement, it does two things. It gives us insight as to how much monies you have available to you. But more importantly, it allows you to think, as was the conversation just a while ago, what would my 4 years look like? How am I going to fund the 4 years? It's not thinking of 1 year. It's thinking of the 4 year plan to complete your degree. Or if you're coming in after Cape, the 5 year plan to complete your degree. So from a St. George's University standpoint, whereas the sticker price says 94,000 per year, I would say to a Caribbean student, if you think in terms of getting at least 40% off of that. So if you're budgeting and you can budget for 60% of that tuition cost, you'll be fine. You can get scholarships and bursaries to make up the stagger.
Okay, because one of my students who started in January there, that is what happened for them. They actually came into the 4 year.
Right.
They had a degree already, and they got a pretty sizable financial package, which making the 4 years more palatable for their parents to afford it. So I know when you
Right.
see the big numbers, you get scared, but then
And that really is the point there, Sheena. And there's international, there's Caribbean or out of state, and then there's Grenadian. Don't allow the sticker price on the tuition, which speaks to the value of the education, because there's a difference between the value of the education and your cost. Think of you walking into a store. You might see a price on there, which is the value, but when you get up to the counter, there's a 10% discount or 15% discount, which is your cost. So don't only know the value without investigating what your cost will be.
So the hardest thing is to definitely look at your financial plan, what is possible with what you have. And then so your options could be York, or it could be SGU, or it could be Guelph, and knowing the full value of what they cost, but then saying, okay, I'm a transfer. I might get this off. I might get this off. I might do a co-op, or I might work part-time. Um, I've done this a couple times in my life, and I'm definitely not rich. I could tell you that because I wish I had a trust fund granddaddy, but that ain't happening. So it is quite doable, but the key is to really have a sober look at your finances. Scholarships are great because it's money you don't have to pay back. I have another question for all of you. Now, I know a lot of you have focused on CAPE, and you've mentioned secondary school students, but I want to focus on two other options. So there are students who do A levels, one, Are they also treated in terms of transfer credits the same as someone who did IB or CAPE? And then the second set of students, I want to look more at those who have an associate degree, if they attended state college, or if they attended 1 or 2 years of university. That's a group of students that's growing. A lot of students go to state college and do an associate degree. Are there specific restrictions when they're coming in as a transfer? How are they treated? And I know it might vary depending on the program, but like, are there scholarships for them too? What are the benefits for them?
Okay, I can be quick and go first. Yes. So the idea is transfer credits. We take a look at what you did, how well you did in it, and then you'll get exemptions for the courses within the curriculum that have already been covered. So whether it is some university, an associate degree, IB, along with CAPE and A levels, there is a mapping that would allow you to get not just credits, but exemptions, because there's a distinction between getting credits. You did an associate degree, you get 60 credits. That's different from getting exemption from courses, which is what reduces your course load, reduces your time, and ultimately your cost. So we take a look, not just giving the credits, but also the exemptions. And that, yes, will vary by program. But someone coming with an associate degree, with their majors being chem and bio into a medical or veterinary program, they enter the 5-year program. They get the full 2 years as credits. The A levels, A's and B's, chem bio, one other, just as the ones and twos for CAPE in those same subjects, they get the 2 years off. And if you're going into any other undergraduate programs, the same philosophy applies.
Okay. Thank you for that, Colin. That's good. Good to know. So if you have an associate degree and you're looking at medicine and you did your associate degree in chem and bio, there's possibility for you to get into the 5-year and still benefit from the CARICOM discounts for CARICOM nationals. Shabir, Juanita, what about in your case? I know Shabir, I saw a transfer scholarship option there for $10,000. A question about that, is that one time or is that renewable?
It is one time. So as I said, we do accept, the A levels as well and GCE as well, again, talking about, what courses could be transferred. For the transfer question specifically, yes, when the transfer students come and they always get a transfer scholarship, 10,000 as an entry level. Again, the next question would be, if you maintain a GPA, when you go into a third year or a fourth year, right? There are opportunities where you can go back to your department. A good example would be going into an engineering department or a biological science department. When a student goes back and select the department and say, I want funding, there are lots of scholarship which students don't even know about it. They come, they have good student life, but they skip those things like I need funding. They'll reach out to me or I'll reach out to my colleague because they know us, and they'll say, I need funding, I need support. But an opportunity for them is to go back to the department and say, what are the other scholarship I could be eligible? They could be maintaining a 95 percentage and say A plus student. That could be an alumni scholarship. There are huge opportunity for them as well. You raised a very good point. The scholarship or bursary does not start just when they apply. Application fee waiver is also considered a scholarship and bursary. I would always say that, that's the first step, right? If you get an opportunity, if a student gets an application fee waiver, I would say that's the first step in scholarship and bursary. It's like a scholarship. You're admissible to a university. And then if the university says we are going to waive your application fee, that's where the scholarship starts coming in, right? So that's the first step. Like, it could be $150, it could be $180, it could be $75. I always ask the student and say, hey, start with, hey, will I get an application fee waiver? Why I should get, some of the Canadian institution, including Guelph, we do lots of webinars and we look into if the students are admissible, they're genuine, we do waive the application fee. That's the first smaller, scholarship. Then you're going into transfer students, they get a 10,000 entry level. Then you're going into freshmen, the first year students, they get lots of entry level scholarship and stackable. So there are various opportunities for students to start with small to a big level of scholarship.
Fair enough. Okay. So even you can look at the application fee waiver as a potential discount or money off, which
Yeah.
is fine. Juanita, in your case with the transfers, and students with A levels, how is that treated?
Yeah, so for students who are post-secondary transfers, so for instance, if you are at BCC, if you're at Sir Arthur, if you are somebody from UE, you would be able to get $2,500. That's our merit-based scholarship.
Mhm.
And that's because you're likely going to get one-to-one. So York is really well known for giving one-to-one transfer credit. So whatever it is that you completed in that time that you were in post-secondary, you will automatically transfer in as already doing that portion of your degree and continue on at York. So if you did a 2-year associate, you would enter in as a third-year student. So you only have to do 2 years at York, and then you also get the $2,500. So because we're generous with our transfer credits, there isn't so much entrance scholarships that are available, but there are scholarships that are available for current students, be that mature or not, but just not a lot of entrance scholarships, and that's because of the transfer credits that you would get.
I want to do a follow and not to play devil's advocate. And I know there are schools that will say we will match your transfers, but I realize over the years that for certain transfers into programs, especially like engineering, anything applied based, the transfer credit system doesn't always match like a one-to-one. So what's the realistic expectation of somebody that may have done an associate degree in, say, information technology or computer science? Or engineering, what is the realistic view that they should consider? Because it might not be a one-to-one where they can start as a third year because there's some transfer credits that just sit there, but they don't get exemptions. So realistically, the minimum, I always say give minimum, and if you get more, that's a bonus. So what expectations can they have?
So I've seen students who have done a closely related program. So for instance, they were doing engineering already,
Mm-hmm.
and they were able to get enough to be transferred in as, again, a third-year student. But I've also had students that only had 1 year awarded, although they did a 2-year degree. So
Okay.
it really does depend. And this is where course outlines, so in the required documents, will assist. So if you provide the course outlines for all of the courses that you've completed, and I always tell students who are applying as a transfer student, keep all of your course syllabuses because that'll help our assessors really gear up and review if you should be able to transfer in without missing any time. It also ensures that you get as many transfer credits as possible. So it's always good to save on to that. I saw a lot of nods from my colleagues as panelists.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like that's across the board. So for students who are post-secondary, keep those course syllabuses because it really does assist you when applying. It allows for us to make the job easier and give as much transfer credits as possible.
Okay. Well, we're now past 7, and I keep it timely, so we've gone over a little bit, but I know that this webinar would have been packed and heavy because it's scholarships and there are lots of parameters and lots of angles to come from. The reality is they are scholarships. Full rides are very far and few in between. And if you are that type, you might have to, your search is going to be longer. You got to definitely do your due diligence if that's what you're looking for. But in the meantime, a realistic approach is to really check to see what you're really interested in, core wise, what area of career. If you're not sure, then you really have to do some thinking. So if you settle on the schools and the qualifications you're going to start with, then the process of finance can go a lot easier. So really do your due diligence. And remember, you can start your college search at CutFest. If for those from Barbados, we are seeing you this weekend at the Lloyd Erskine Standiford Center from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. For those that we are joining us for Jamaica next week, Tuesday at the Pegasus in Kingston from 5 to 8 p.m. And remember, if you are a school student and you've received your invitation from Immaculate already, our contingent that's for Jamaica will also be there during the morning session, and then you join us on the evening. I want to take this time to thank my colleagues for spending their evening with me. I know we're all tired and hungry probably and ready to go for dinner. So I will release you. For those who stayed on for the Zoom for the whole time, I want to thank you for your time and energy given to this webinar. I look forward to seeing many of you at the Cut Fest Fairs. I want everyone to have a good evening. And until next time, take care, everyone.
Take good care. Wonderful.
Looking forward to
Thank you
see
for
you all
having me.
soon.
See you soon. Thank you for having us, Sheena.
So welcome. You're so welcome.
Absolutely.